Ever wondered what really goes into building a machine that's designed for pure, unadulterated performance? Well, from an engineer's point of view, it's not just about cramming in the fastest parts you can find. No, it's really a battle for precision. It's this relentless gauntlet of automated quality control, where even one microscopic error means total failure. So let's break down how this machine is really forged. Okay, so our journey starts right here, with the engineering heart of the entire machine, the motherboard. You got to think of it as the central nervous system. And before it can do a single thing, this bare circuit board has to survive its very first test, long before a processor or anything else is even attached. We're going to follow this machine through 5 critical stages. First, the brain's first test. Then it's through a robotic gauntlet. After that, we'll see the assembly of its exoskeleton. Then powering up the gaming engine, and finally, the ultimate stress test. All right, let's kick things off with section 1, the brain's first test. Because in this process, perfection isn't just a goal, it's an absolute requirement from the very first step. So before any of the cool, fancy components get added, a machine lays a stencil over the bare board and applies this layer of solder paste. Now this paste, this is what's going to hold hundreds of components in place. Getting this foundation right is completely non-negotiable. And the stakes? Well, they couldn't be any higher. A single tiny error at this stage. We're talking one missing dot of paste pretty much guarantees a dead board later on. So how do you ensure that level of perfection? You bring in your first line of automated defense. An automated camera photographs the entire board, and then it compares that image against a perfect digital template. It's looking for any missing paste, the slightest misalignment, any microscopic error at all. If it fails this test, the board is rejected on the spot. Only a flawless board gets to move on. Okay, on to section 2, the robotic gauntlet. The board passed its first inspection, so now it enters this high-speed assembly line where speed and accuracy are literally everything. So the board moves down the line, and these robotic arms start placing all the electronic components right onto the solder paste. Then it passes through what's called a reflow oven, which melts the solder and permanently fuses everything to the board. And of course, what happens next? It's immediately followed by another automated camera inspection to make sure every single piece is perfectly in its place. And the sheer scale of this operation is, well, it's incredible. We are talking about 15 robotic machines placing up to 150 components in just 30 seconds. I mean, that's a level of precision and speed that is just physically impossible for human hands to achieve. Now in section 3, we get to see how this all builds up. With that fully tested motherboard complete, the process kind of shifts from pure automation to the human touch. This is where skilled technicians assemble the laptop's physical body, its exoskeleton, if you will. The technicians start with what's called the panel kit. That's basically the whole top half of the laptop. They're carefully assembling the LCD screen, the webcam, the microphones, the Wi-Fi antenna, and all the connecting cables into the frame piece by precise piece. After the panel kit is done, they move on to the bottom half, installing the speakers and the touchpad. Now, while this is a manual process, the assembly is designed almost like a puzzle. In engineering, there's a term for this, poka-yoke, or error-proofing. It minimizes the chance of mistakes. It's all about building a totally reliable chassis for that powerful brain. And now for section 4, powering the gaming engine. So the motherboard is perfect, the body is all assembled. Now it's time to install the hardware that makes this thing a gaming beast, and not just another standard laptop. And right here, you can really see the difference. A high-performance gaming laptop, it generates an immense amount of heat, so it needs 2 powerful fans instead of just 1. And that faster processor and those dual fans, well, they consume a lot more power, which means you need a much larger, high-capacity battery. Every single component has to be scaled up for performance. Before installing the final pieces, the memory, the Wi-Fi module, the solid-state drive, there's one more critical precautionary step. Technicians meticulously clean every connector with solvent and compressed air. So why do they do that? Because a single speck of dust or even a little oil from a fingerprint could impede the electrical contact and compromise performance. It's just another example of that relentless attention to detail. We've reached our final section, the final stress test. The laptop is fully assembled. All the parts are in their place, but from an engineering standpoint, the toughest gauntlet is actually still to come. This is the ultimate question. The machine is technically perfect, but let's be real. A gaming laptop isn't meant to just sit on a desk looking pretty. It's meant to be used, and used intensely. So the real question is, can it actually survive its intended user? So now the laptop is subjected to this whole barrage of final tests. An automated system checks all kinds of functions, while a quality control team manually verifies things like the virtual reality features, the LCD color calibration, and this one's critical for a gaming machine, the keyboard. I mean, think about it. A gaming keyboard takes a serious beating. It's not just about whether the keys function, it's about withstanding the repeated, forceful mashing of a gamer who's in the middle of a match. So these keys are specifically stress-tested for durability to make absolutely sure they won't break under pressure. So when you think about what makes a high-performance machine truly great, remember this. It's not just the sum of its powerful parts. It's the gauntlet it survived. It's that relentless, almost obsessive process of verification, automation, and stress testing at every single step that ensures perfection is what makes it out of the factory and into your hands. So, what other piece of tech do you think deserves this kind of scrutiny?